Happy snow day, everybody. Still not back at work yet. I'm ready to go back to work. I love my children dearly, but I'm ready to get back to work. So, breaking news out of Oklahoma today. Part of it's breaking, part of it's not, I guess. A Oklahoma legislator has resigned their position in the Oklahoma House of Representatives as part of a plea agreement reached with the Oklahoma Attorney General for a guilty plea to 3 felonies, I believe. 2 felonies, something. But anyway, we'll look at it. A little backstory here. First off, the big deal with being convicted of a felony while in office, regardless of whether it's part of your office or not, is that there's legislation that says if you become convicted of a felony while in office, you lose your state pension. Right? You lose your state retirement, and elected official retirement in Oklahoma is pretty darn good, relatively speaking. And it actually goes back to several years to a guy named Randy Terrell. Randy Terrell was a law school graduate, not a lawyer, to my knowledge, never passed the bar exam, but a law school graduate who he was a very conservative Republican, and not talking about the politics necessarily of it, but just by happenstance, Randy is a Republican. He ran some legislation that ultimately was signed into law that stripped the retirement benefits from elected office holders if they were to become convicted of a felony during their time in office. Now, as happenstance would have it, not that many years later, Randy Terrell himself was convicted of a felony and lost his pension. He was convicted of a felony while in office for trying to buy the Senate seat in South Oklahoma City held by a female Democrat. He got convicted, and so did she. They both became convicted felons. But Randy, it just the sort of circle of life, as Elton John would say, comes full when you, as the author of legislation designed to reduce and malfeasance in office by increasing the penalties for malfeasance in office, then commit malfeasance in office. So if you sort of follow the merry-go-round there. And then to set this up, my dad served in the Oklahoma legislature for 10 years. My grandfather served in the Oklahoma legislature for 16 years. I myself have not served in public office, and I don't know that of my many gifts, that's one of them that I've been given. But anyway, my grandfather served for 16 years. My dad served for 10 years. And it was very important to both of them when they ran that they complied with the Oklahoma Ethics Commission. Now, the Oklahoma Ethics Commission is a state government agency that is constitutionally created. Okay, it's not something created by the legislature. It's something created by the Constitution, and its job is to regulate fairness in public elections, as far as financial disclosures and that sort of thing. They regulate lobbyists. They regulate the campaign finance industry. And their rules are very specific. Their rules are very clear. There's nothing really ambiguous or arbitrary about it. And it is an agency that has a lot of teeth. The former Oklahoma Superintendent of Public Instruction, Ryan Walters, found himself sideways with the Oklahoma Ethics Commission more than once. In fact, since even though he's resigned office, that investigation is ongoing, according to a recently released statement from the Ethics Commission. All right, now, during my dad's time in office, there was a representative from the Oklahoma City area, and Oklahoma City is a large metropolitan area, so it's got probably somewhere between 20 and 25 House members, and Tulsa's somewhere around the same, somewhere between a third and 40% of the legislatures, maybe more, come from the Oklahoma City and Tulsa area, because it's just divided by population, right? I mean, you get out to western Oklahoma, you may have 9 or 10 or 11 or 12 counties that you represent. And in Oklahoma City, you might just represent a neighborhood. But in Oklahoma, for example, the Oklahoma House of Representatives, each House member represents about 36,000 people or so. That number may be off a little bit, but each person represents about 36,000 people. There's 101 members of the Oklahoma House of Representatives, 50 members of the Oklahoma Senate. During my dad's time in office, there was a female legislator from Oklahoma City named Anastasia Pittman. And I believe She served in the House for a few years, and then she went across the building. I think she served in the Senate also, maybe, I forget. But in Oklahoma, all elected officials have a term limit. Most elected officials, all statewide elected officials, and then House and Senate members have a 12-year term limit, and then statewide elected officials have 8-year term limits. So you can't serve more than 2 terms at any state level. So governor, lieutenant governor, auditor and inspector, labor commissioner, et cetera. Okay. And then for the House and Senate, it's 12 years total. So that would be 6 election cycles for the House. The House is up every 2 years, and 3 election cycles for the Senate. The senators are up for election every 4 years in Oklahoma. Okay. So if you can follow that. All right. Now, with that, so Anastasia served her term limit, and then she left office, and then a different individual represented that district for a few years, and then went to the House, or from the House to the Senate, and then that House seat came open. And her Anastasia's daughter, she goes by AJ. I know both Anastasia and AJ. I don't know them real well. I wouldn't call them friends, but not because I do or don't like them, just because I only know them sort of professionally in passing. I don't run in their circles. I don't live near where they live. So AJ is Anastasia Pittman's daughter, AJ Pittman. And AJ was elected 2018, maybe? 2018, 2020, 2022. Yeah, that's right. 2018. And she would have been up on the ballot again this fall for her 5th of 6 terms. Okay, so she was basically served, basically 9 years. She was starting her 10th year. Yeah. Or 7 was, she served 7, was starting her 8th, whatever it was. I forget. The math is the math, right? She went through 4 election cycles. Well, dating all the way back to 2020, she had some issues with the Oklahoma Ethics Commission. And when I say that, that doesn't mean she did anything wrong. If you so when you file for a campaign, you identify who your campaign treasurer is, and they are the person who's responsible for tracking that information and reporting it. Now, the candidate also has to certify that it's accurate, but ultimately, if you're the candidate and you've chosen a bookkeeper, that bookkeeper you should be able to believe that they would be able to hold their muster when it comes to filling out that paperwork. But anytime you submit that paperwork, it's a government document, so you're submitting that paperwork, that form, and it tracks your contributions and your expenditures. It lists everybody who's donated, how much they have donated. They list your expenditures, and not nickel and dime. Like, it's not going to say loves. It may say, food for campaign volunteers, whatever, right? Gas for the campaign car, whatever. Yeah. For those who don't know, Love's is a series of gas station convenience stores based in Oklahoma. And so, a little bit of background there. Okay. So, starting in 2024, Anastasia, and we'll look at this. I'm going to pull some of this up. All right. So, if I go to, is this the right one? All right. So, she's currently looking at a significant legal battle in a variety of capacities. But let me go ahead and throw this up here. Screen share. That's it. Okay. I know that's a little hard to see. I'm wondering if I can make that go away. That's a little better. Okay. So she's been sued by the state of Oklahoma through the Oklahoma Ethics Commission. We're going to get to the criminal charge which she pled guilty to in just a minute, but here are the facts that led to this conviction. Okay. Looking to see. Okay, so it's getting, okay, so here it is. We look at, all right, so here it is. This case concerns, look at paragraph 8, Pittman's unlawful use of campaign contributions is promulgated in case number 2022-25, Oklahoma Ethics Commission versus Pittman et al. Now, that doesn't mean it's been in district court. That's probably just their internal docket numbering system. Okay. So she was given notice on March 8th of 2024 that things were wrong. She submitted a settlement offer. Okay. The Ethics Commission agreed to that settlement offer, and we're going to look at that in just a second. Now, I want you to notice it says in that agreement, that settlement agreement, the AJ Pittman admits that she used personal campaign funds in violation of campaign rules. including purchases not resulting from or connected to campaign expenses and or respondents' duties as an office holder. Withdrawal of campaign funds via checking and ATM withdrawals and personal credit card payments amounting to just under $18,000. Inaccurate reporting of $30,000 worth of contributions in 2020, $20,000 worth of contributions in 2022, and did not properly maintain the campaign records. What that means is either physical copies or something, and that's going to become an issue here in a few minutes we're going to talk about. Okay, then a couple of counts here. The first is fraud in the inducement. Fraud in the inducement basically says we at the Ethics Commission looked at these documents, looked at this settlement agreement and said, yes, we would be willing to admit, or we would be willing to accept the terms of the settlement agreement. In this case, it involved her paying money and admitting wrongdoing. Okay. All right. So then she, on May 6th of 2024, she asks for leniency and additional time, basically saying the office that my campaign headquarters used to be in was damaged. It's no longer, the records are gone and the building is no longer standing. And then a second letter, and this is the second letter is interesting here. I'm going to talk about it. The second letter is also attached to that email. It claims to be a letter from the building manager. Okay. And the alleged building manager says that they were in this building over a period of years. The building sustained water damage. Eventually, everybody left, and we tore the building down. The records may or may not exist. The building certainly doesn't. Let's see. And all of the records I'm reading, these are all available for free through the Oklahoma State Courts Network. So there's nothing proprietary here. These are all public pleadings. Okay, she previously said she didn't have all the necessary campaign receipts and records because they were destroyed by water damage, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Paragraph 20, while investigating other matters, the commission learned that the letter submitted by the defendant was not prepared by the building manager, but by her mother. At 5:09 p.m., 2 minutes before that letter was submitted by A.J. Pittman to the Ethics Commission as part of her settlement offer. Okay. So that's count one. The second one is this. So the settlement agreement says that AJ agreed to make a $12,000 payment. No later than May 31st, 2025, reimbursed by certified check to the campaign funds of AJ for House 99, 2022 in the amount of $12,000 and shall provide proof of such payment to the commission. I want you to notice the next sentence underlined, these funds shall not be paid from respondent's campaign account, but from her own personal fund account. So what this means is she has used campaign money incorrectly in violation of the Ethics Commission provisions. She's used it for something unauthorized, and she's been ordered to pay it back. So in each campaign cycle, you have to create a new account. So here we are in 2024, and there's an issue with 2022. So what they're saying is you can't take money from your 2024 campaign account, and pay back the money you took from your 2022 account. You have to take your personal money from your job as a legislator or your other side income, your other day job, whatever, other forms of income, go take out a loan, borrow it, whatever. But you personally have to pay that money back. You can't use your current campaign account to pay back your previous campaign account, right? You can't rob from Peter to pay Paul. You stole the money. You took the money incorrectly. You personally have to pay it back because the campaign didn't take it. You did. So that's what we're talking about. And so this is really where the issue becomes. She submits what appears to be two cashier's checks, one for $5,000 and one for $2,500, along with her 2025 bank statement as proof of payment to her committee. Come find out, those checks aren't real. She says, I'm using these checks. They've been drawn on my personal account. I've deposited them back into the campaign account, and here's proof of that. Okay. Now, as you may or may not know, simply showing a copy of a check is not proof payment was made. You need copy of the canceled check, which is the proof. It's the receipt you get after you pay by check. You get a canceled check. You may never get the paper check back, but your bank statement will show a canceled check. So she doesn't submit the canceled check. She submits the actual check. We're going to look at it. Okay. It turns out that one of those checks was not real. The other check was real, but the funds on that check Right, she had taken, it was a cashier's check. She'd gone to the bank, and the bank had prepared the check on their account. And anyway, you guys, hopefully you guys know how that works. If you don't know how cashier's checks work, they'll comment, and I'll answer later. Okay. Well, what had happened was she had received a donation from a donor, a campaign donor, in 2020 for her 2024 account, had taken that money. Rather than taking that check and depositing it into the 2024 account, she took that check, deposited it into her personal account, and then wrote the cashier's check out of her personal account. So you sort of got two frauds, right? You've got the fraud of the check that was written for her campaign should have gone into her campaign account and went into her personal account. She then used that money to pay the illegal campaign, or the illegal expenditure from account one, from the other account. You follow me? I know it's a little bit confusing. Okay. So she should have taken that check and deposited it into her campaign account for 24. She didn't. Essentially, I don't know this, but I'm suspecting she didn't have the money. So she took the money she had, which was donor money, and instead of putting it into the campaign account like she was supposed to, she put it somewhere else, in this case in her personal account. So it's bank fraud. Okay, and that's what this goes on to explain. I don't want to make everybody sick as I go screaming through this here. So let's look at the attachments. So this, see if I can zoom in at all. Oh, didn't want to do that. Sorry, guys. Everybody close your eyes real quick. I don't want to make you sick. Here we go. Can I zoom in? I can. Okay. This is the settlement agreement. So you'll notice this has been attached as Exhibit A. So this dates back to whatever date's at the bottom, but here it is. The settlement agreement between the Ethics Commission and AJ Pittman to settle these matters. Let's see. What you notice here, the facts and allegations were deemed admitted. So AJ basically admits, yes, I did the bad thing or things. Okay, terms of settlement. In consideration of the commission's release of claims and executions of the agreement, exchange for AJ agrees to pay the commission the cumulative total of $35,000.00, and that is both repayment of the just under $18,000 plus a civil penalty for which is the punishment for spending, not just paying it back, but also a punishment. Okay. And then it breaks down. So everybody would agree $35,000 is a lot of money to most of us. So they break it down into payment plans. No later than May 31st, the respondent, so AJ Pittman, shall reimburse by certified check to the bank account 2022 and 2020 $5,000 and shall provide proof to the commission. Notice the last sentence. These funds shall not be paid from respondent's campaign fund accounts, but from her own personal fund accounts. And on May 31st, 1 year later, respondent shall reimburse by certified check $12,000 and shall provide proof to the commission. These funds shall not be paid by respondent's campaign funds account, but from her own personal fund accounts. And then May 31st, 2026, $858.22. So those three payments over 3 years, now she's brought back to the whole for the money that she stole. And then she has the additional $17,141.78, $17,141.78, and that is the civil penalty. So that is the punishment. These funds shall not be paid from respondent's campaign funds, but from her own personal fund accounts. Okay, and this is what she agreed to. Actions taken that violated the ethics rules include, but aren't limited to, personal use of candidate funds in violation of Rule 2, including purchases not resulting from or connected to campaign expenses or duties as an office holder. There were some allegations like they bought computers and TVs and some other stuff. Cash withdrawals and personal credit card payments. Okay. So you can't use the ATM card to take out cash. Because cash, while everybody wants cash, cash is very hard to trace. And that's part of it. Okay. And then inaccurate reporting of $30,000 worth of contributions in 2020, $20,000 worth of contributions in 2022. and failure to maintain records. All right. So by and large, that's the biggest part. Okay, notice future violations not covered. This wraps up all those claims in that year, but not anything else she decided to do. Then you notice here, each party is carefully read and understood. And then you see here A.J. Pittman's name, and then Leanne Bruce Boone, who is the executive director of the Ethics Commission. Okay, and then here you have the attorneys assigned. Thomas Schneider. I went to law school with Thomas. Good dude. He was the attorney representing the. He actually works in the Attorney General's office, but he's assigned to represent various agencies because the Attorney General's office is the state's law firm, the government's law firm. Same thing for DOJ. All right, and then for respondent Colin Walkie, I know Colin. I did not go to law school with him. He's a little bit older than I am, but also really good dude. So the good news is some really competent attorneys involved in this negotiation. And then you see here, these are emails. Okay, so remember she had a payment due on May 31st of 2024. So here's 5/7. This is the offer. She admit $5,000 due at the end of the month, $12,000 due a year from now, $18,000 due a year after that. Then just some email exchanges. Okay. And not to downplay it, but I mean, it is what it is, right? I'm not going to sit there and read emails to you, but so here's the letter. They talk about expressing remorse and the negligence of my former CPA. I fully cooperated. The instructions were vague and there was a lack of correspondence and guidance. Little bit of deflection here. The instructions provided were vague and there was a lack of guidance and correspondence and guidance from August 23 to March 2024. Yeah, maybe I disagree with that. It's always been in my intention. I began to rectify the situation. Must declare the post repayment amount, in addition to a steep scale of fines and fees, has already created a financial hardship due to the fact my current salary. And so, what this means is she doesn't have a job outside the legislature, and they don't make a lot of money. It's, relatively speaking, it's probably mid 40s. I think when my dad was in there, I think the base pay was like $35,000 a year. Take into consideration, I'm also one of the primary caretakers. Leniency of my commission to modify my fines and fees. Right, request for leniency. Okay, so here it is. This is an email from dated May 5th. So this is the day after, sorry, this is the same day that they sent the email with the offer on it, right? Office building located at this address. The address, let's see. Representative Pittman occupied office space from 2017 or 18 until the building was closed. The building suffered from continuous water intrusion over a span of more than 3 years due to having a flat roof with seams, blah, 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 blah. Major built portion of the building suffered various stages of mold and permanent water saturation, which could not be reversed. Other building concerns, let's see. The building was vacated over the course of some time by all tenants. After being vacated, the building was never occupied again and was eventually torn down and no longer remains. Okay, so this is in theory, and I'm not reading the chat here. I'll grab it in here in a few minutes, but this is submitted as evidence of, hey, right, remember one of the allegations was you failed to maintain records. Well, I tried, but the building that my records were in sustained water damage and it doesn't exist anymore. And so she submits what purports to be this letter from the landlord saying, yes, this in fact happened. Let me see if I can rotate this for you guys for just a second. Okay, so what you see here is from a Word document. And when Representative Pittman submitted this as evidence in support of her settlement opportunity, which the commission then goes and relies on, this is the metadata. So this is a Word document. It was read only. And if you go to the file menu and you go to info, okay, 12.6 kilobytes, 1 page, 178 words. They spent whoever typed this spent 12 minutes editing it. So here it is. Created May 6th, 2024 at 4:31. Last modified May 6th, 2024 at 5:09 p.m. Last modified by Anastasia Pittman. That's former representative and former state senator Anastasia Pittman, and this is A.J. Pittman's mother. Now, she's not on trial here, okay? But if we go back up, I need to rotate this twice for you guys. This letter, which is this letter right here, the Pittman Group tenancy letter, signed, well, digital signature, not signed, type signature, D. Hill Building Manager. The metadata says it was actually written by Anastasia Pittman. Okay, and so here it is, June 3rd, a year later. Okay, so in theory, she paid the first $5,000 in May of 2024. Now the $12,000 is due by May 31st, 2025, and she hasn't paid it. So this is, hey, we need proof of that, and it tells you exactly how to make proof. A bank receipt and printout from online banking showing the transaction date, account name, and account number. And then an additional $12,000 withdrawn from your own personal funds, printout from online banking that shows the account name, number, and date of transactions. You can submit these in person or by email, and she's the attorney there. So here it is. Some more correspondence. And then she submits this copy. Let me see if I can, of this check from Sovereign Bank, this $5,000. Turns out this is not real. Okay. So maybe she paid for, because you can go get this check and you pay a nominal fee, a couple of bucks. The bank writes this check for you and it's drawn on the bank. Okay. The bank debits your account. They move the money over and then they write the check for you, but it's paid on Sovereign Bank's account, not on, this is certified funds, certified check, which this is a perfectly acceptable way to pay. But you could actually spend the $2 or $3, have this check made, take a picture of it, scan it in your computer, whatever, upload it and say, hey, this is proof of payment. This is not a canceled check. Okay, this is not a canceled check. All right. It also, right, it's got a weird date on it too. So A.J. Pittman paid $5,000 for this, but we don't know what account it came from. It just says that she remitted it. Okay, this is not a canceled check. This one is also not a canceled check. So what you can do is you can actually go and buy these. It's interesting, they redacted that check number, but not that check number, but it doesn't matter. So what you can actually do is you can go and you can pay, have these checks made, show them, hey, I had the check made, and then never actually give them to the person you're paying. You then have the check. You submit that you have the check. You then call the bank or walk into the bank and say, hey, I want to cancel. I want to put a stop pay on this cashier's check. And at some point, they stop pay. The money goes back into your account. So you appeared to have paid it, but never paid it. So that's the fraud. Okay, here we have evidence of this was also submitted. This is a bank account. AJ for House 2022. Okay. Deposits $2,500. Okay. And so here it is. This is the lady from the Ethics Commission emailing this. It says, hi, thanks for speaking with me today. Attached are copies of the 2 checks, one of which we believe is fraudulent. Any information you can provide would be helpful. So then if let's go back up and look at these check numbers real quick. It says 775 right here, 207755. Okay. The lady at the bank says, I don't have any record of 207755 being issued by Sovereign Bank. Okay. So what they did is somebody went and modified that, manipulated that information to make that look like a real check, and it's not. Okay, and then here's evidence of the expenditure report. Okay, here it is. Other funds accepted individual. So this is a copy of the report she uploaded. Okay, date 1/27. Other funds accepted individual $2,500 from AJ Pittman. Okay. So this is what leads us to what happened today. At the same time this case broke, I need to flip to a new share screen. Let's clear that. And then I want to normally there's like a switch to this screen tab or something. Yeah, here it is. Share this tab instead. Okay. So then today, there's breaking news out of Oklahoma City. This is there are no paper filings available. They were scanned in. They won't be available till tomorrow at the earliest. The Attorney General representing the state of Oklahoma, two defendants. Trina Bias, I don't know who that is. I'm not speaking about her today or him. I have no idea who that is. And then Aisha Pittman, she goes by AJ. So this is the same person. AJ sort of her AKA, and then her birth name is Aisha or Aishia, whatever it is. I've only ever known her as AJ, but it's the same person. If you look here, criminal felony initial filing today. 2 counts. This one is for all of them. Conspiracy to commit a felony, guilty plea, deferred. AJ pled on all of this today. So this was so which means AJ and her attorney have been negotiating with the Attorney General on this probably for some time. So it was filed today and pled today. Guilty plea, deferred. Conspiracy to commit a felony. Guilty plea, deferred. Forgery in the second degree. Guilty plea, deferred. Violating the Oklahoma Computer Crimes Act. The Oklahoma Computer Crimes Act says that if you use a computer in the furtherance of a crime, it's a crime itself. So the use of email and the use of the online reporting system through the Ethics Commission is what leads us here to this charge. Okay. Okay, let's see. So here it is. Defendant enters a negotiated plea of guilty, and sentencing is deferred until 1/27/33. So what is that? 8 years? 8 years deferred? 7 years. 7 years deferred sentence. I'm still thinking 2025. The defendant will be supervised by the Oklahoma Department of Corrections. Defendant is to pay restitution determined at a later date. $50 judicial assessment, $135 victim compensation fee, $150 DA fee, and court costs. All court costs are due in stanter, which means right now any bond not in forfeiture status is exonerated. Okay, so that's the outcome of the case today. Okay, so there is an arrest warrant issued for her other co-defendant. But like I said, I don't know who this co-defendant is. In theory, it could be the CPA that she fired. I'm not sure exactly. I don't recognize the name, but anyway. So this thing went from, and I've sort of been monitoring this sort of went from back burner to in your face overnight. So a lot of work being done by the AG's office and by AJ's attorney on the background trying to negotiate this. So that's the news for today. So let us jump into the chat. Nana Donna, question, Zach, was this the guy from before you took your sabbatical? Sorry if it's a dumb question, but I don't live in Oklahoma. I'll be waiting. Oh, that may have been the superintendent of public instruction, the former state superintendent, Ryan Walters, who quit midterm. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look at that video, to be honest. But good question. I don't know, though. Let's see. Laura and Gary are here. Good afternoon. Let's see. And TN Jenny 42 said they Frank Abagnale the check. That is exactly what they did, actually. I don't think they did it the way he did it with nail polish remover and a hotel bathtub, but yeah, you got the general idea right. Yeah, 100%. I will show you. I don't know exactly. I kind of know where Gary lives. Doesn't sound like he got it awful up there, but we got it a little rough here. That, I don't know if you guys can see it. That is a 3-foot bank of ice outside my garage. We can't get the cars out of my garage right now because we have a 3-foot bank of ice. So I get to try and solve that. Woohoo, right? So let's see. Any other questions? Frank Abagnale, the check they did? Yeah. Yep, exactly right. So anyway, a little bit of breaking news out of Oklahoma politics. And this is not a partisan issue, right? The Republicans and the Democrats both condone. They came out on the record and they condoned it. Every time somebody misbehaves, both sides say, hey, there needs to be an investigation. If the findings are accurate, that person needs to be removed from office. And actually, prior to her she resigned from the legislature today. Now, obviously, if she's a felon, she can't serve in the legislature, so it's sort of go hand in hand. But one of the interesting things is she actually had very little power in the legislature anymore, because as soon as these allegations came up that she was in all this trouble with the Ethics Commission, the majority party picks their people for committees, and then the minority party picks their people for committees, and so her leader, the minority leader, actually stripped her of all committee assignments. And the speaker, or if it's in the case of the Senate, the pro tem of the Senate, actually under their rules has the power to. They can't kick somebody out of office, but like there was a Oklahoma state senator, Republican state senator from the Norman Moore area, South Oklahoma City, somewhere, Ralph Shorty, who's now doing a very long term in the Oklahoma State Department of Corrections for trying to solicit inappropriate acts from a minor, as well as having a variety of narcotics with him during such solicitation. But anyway, he prior to his resignation from office, they had the pro tem of the Senate had taken his parking spot, taken away his office, taken away all of his secretarial and administrative support, had banned him from the premises, had kicked him out of all of his committees, had taken his floor desk away. He couldn't even come in the building. He was banned from entering the building. Had he not resigned, they probably would have convened they probably would have tried to run through some articles of impeachment, and then convene the Senate as an impeachment court. So, any other questions? Let's see. TNG 42. Dad spent 30 years in banking, starting with the first install of computers. Bank crimes are interesting. Yeah, there's both a mix of really dumb people doing bank and white collar crime, and also some very smart people doing such things, for sure. So if you guys have any questions, I'll take them. Otherwise, we'll get it wrapped up, and I'll try to find another opportunity to see you guys soon. If you haven't already liked this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification so you're notified every time we go live. Hey Gary, by the way, got the chair done, got the mic stand, we're moving and grooving now. You guys have, if you haven't already, liked the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you notify every time we go live. Gary, don't even just started on Gene Stipe. I got some Gene Stipe stories. We'll do a whole series. We could do a whole series on Gene. Yeah, for sure, especially over in your neck of the woods. Guys, if you haven't already, do me a favor. Be kind to somebody. We'll talk to you real soon.